in my domain, got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty, now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over for the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine, we live for this. It's all for this. We're gonna stand on top with our hands in the sky. Gonna raise our cup to the stadium lights. For the glory, for the glory. We celebrate with the city tonight. Hear the hometown cheer, it's the ultimate high. For the glory, we do it for the glory.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here as we prepare for race number 10 of Season 6 of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. We're getting closer. After tonight, 3 more races remain, and we will be at the halfway point of the regular season for our All-Star Race weekend, and then we begin what we claim to be the chase towards the chase for the championship, the final 13 regular season races until the chase field is confirmed. And coming into this race, who would have believed only 9 races into the year, and already we've got 2 drivers that have pretty much, as long as they stay in the top 30 in the point standings, already locked themselves up spots, confirmed themselves spots in this season's chase for the championship. A Drayton, who picked up his second win of the season a few weeks back at the second dual race at Eldora, and last week's winner from Bump Draft and Super Speedway, Dylan Young, who also had a previous win at Las Vegas. Both drivers come into tonight's race as a 2-time winner, and therefore right now, barring them being outside the top 30 in points, as I mentioned, they would be representing in the chase for the championship. Basically, the way the system works is there's basically 16 slots in this chase for the championship. If you're a 2-time winner and you're inside the top 30 in points, you've basically got a guaranteed position during the postseason. So obviously neither one of those drivers want to rest on their laurels and just be riding and trying to just get consistent finishes. Now they want to go out there and get more wins, because more wins mean more bonus points when the chase field is reformatted. But there's a number of drivers in this field here tonight that would love to put themselves in the same position and lock themselves up an official spot in the chase of the championship. Case in point, look who's starting on the pole. J Arndt in the 05. 2 years ago, at this very racetrack, he picked up his first career Hersheys Cup Series victory at Kansas. J Arndt looking to go to victory lane at this track for the second time in his career and for the third time in his career overall, being a former winner as well last season. But that came during the playoffs, so he was not in the playoffs last year. A Drayton, we mentioned, he just wants to go out there and win now, and he starts on the outside of the front row. We'll see if maybe he can become the first 3-time winner here in Season 6. Let's go get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
And as the command is given, we're getting ready to go green flag racing in the Hollywood Casino 400, and it's time to give you your top 10 in the point standings coming into tonight's event. Dylan Poteet is still the points leader, but Joshua Collard was able to cut that points lead he had at bump drafting down by quite a good bit, only 7-point separation now from first back to second. Jordan Anderson currently in third, so rookies are second and third in the points coming into this race. Tim Walsh currently sits in fourth with Brandon Gonzales in fifth. Only 13 points separate the top 5 in the standings. Benjamin Miles is sixth in the standings. A Drayton, 2-time winner, up in seventh. Dylan Young, after his win last week, 2-time winner, is eighth. Defending champion Trent Dunham is ninth, and former champion of the series, K Mathews, currently is 10th. As far as other drivers outside the top 10 that have a win this season, K Shearer, our winner from Rio, is 16th in the points, and our Daytona 500 winner, Dallas McIntosh, is 23rd. He needs a good run tonight to try and get away from 30th position in the points. Dodge Charger pace car will make the left-hand turn to pit road. Here we go, ready to go racing here tonight under the lights at Kansas. Green flags in the air, let's roll! If you didn't tune into our Truck Series race or our Pizza Hut X Series races here, We ended up having a pretty wreck-filled race for the Truck Series. Pizza Deck Series, we had one caution where we had 2 incidents take place in the first lap, and then after that we were green flag all the way to the end, and we did see green flag pit stops basically play a huge factor into the eventual race winner, which was, of course, Chris Dollerton. So we'll see what side this race is going to fit on, as we will complete the first lap under green flag conditions. We didn't get to do that in either the Truck or Pizza Deck Series races here so far, so we've actually done a historical mark here this weekend, completing lap 1 under green. John R out in front, the best battle's on for second. J Bryant to the inside. Zachary Fitzwater on the outside line. Looks like the outside line's going to get the run off of turn 4, so Fitzwater moves to second. Drayton going to try and swing around for third. So they're thinking 3 wide back there. A couple of drivers utilizing the apron there on the front straightaway. One of them looked like the Tim Hortons Ford of Joseph Srigley. Now, drivers can go down there, but they are responsible for merging back up into traffic safely, and maybe it looks like they might not have done that because the caution flag is out. Yellow out for the first time here tonight, probably something John R did not want to see. Probably Fitzwater as well, because he was just running John R down for the race lead. Caution's out here on lap number 3 for the first time here tonight in the Hersheys Cup Series race. So we at least were able to complete 2 laps under green, about 2.5 laps under green. There you see skid marks in turns 1 and 2, and I'm almost certain that it may have had something to do with drivers trying that apron on the front straightaway and not merging back up safely into turn 1. That's been a trouble spot for most of the weekend, especially early on in the race, and I think maybe, just maybe, may have struck again. And we got a number of drivers on pit road. I saw J Baskinger there, Kat Batson, and it looked like Trent Dunham's already retired out of the race, along with second in the points Joshua Collard. I saw both of them just take their cars back behind the wall. Benny Watson, boy, the struggling year continues for that rookie. He's got damage, as does Kat Batson, James Richardson, Kyle Keith. Shane Lake's got a lot of damage. K Shearer, Blaine Keith just ahead of him. They're damaged. Leon Alvarez there in that blue 08. Number of drivers coming to pit road, damaged goods. It looks like everybody that didn't get involved in the wreck that's up here decided not to come to pit road. They will have to pit at some point during this 41-lap event, but deciding not to do it here under this caution. Probably smart, because even if they pitted now, they probably would have to pit again. So I think they're hoping for another caution to come out further on down the road when they're closer to their fuel window. But for now, let's take a look and see what put out the caution for the first time here this evening at Kansas. Yeah, this was 2 wrecks that took place at the same time, and both for the same reason. You see the 11 there of James Richardson, the 24 of Benny Watson, both used that inside line. You see where Watson's caught on the inside in a 4-wide situation. He's trying to give room. I think that both Richardson and Watson were actually trying to fall back, and there's just no grip down there in the apron when you're going as fast as these drivers do. And there you see they just sweep up. They collected Cody Smart as well in the 12. I didn't see him get involved. There was a wreck further up. We'll cover that in just a moment. There's Trent Dunham, Kat Batson there, right side of your screen. Joshua Collard, J Baskinger, all swept up after Richardson and Watson couldn't keep their cars down in the apron. Now let's see what happens up here. Shane Lake and Kat Batson, I think, were the start of this. And this may have been drivers going low trying to avoid the wreck. Oh, no. It was actually Kat Batson doing the same thing that Richardson and Watson had done. And he almost saved it, though. He sideswiped J McCloud, but then right there gets hooked in the right rear by Shane Lake up into Blaine Keys, and then there's nowhere for the 34 of K Shearer going to go. Ritz and Twix, I don't know how good of a combination that would be, but not a good combination on track there. And K Shearer is another driver that's kind of been sliding through the standings, and there you see Kyle Keith, Leon Alvarez, and Richardson all slide up into this as well. So we had anywhere from about 12 to 15 drivers get caught up in this one. A lot of drivers with significant damage. And as we saw, a couple of drivers have already taken their cars behind the wall, including a couple of drivers that were top 10 of the points coming to this race. Trent Dunham was 9th in the standings, and Joshua Collard, who came in runner-up. Lights atop the pace car mean we're going back green flag racing on lap 8 of 41. John Arndt will be the race leader over Zachary Fitzwater, Alex Drayton, J Bryant, and Brooke Allan. Allan's teammate Daniel Gilbert lines up there in 6th with Chris Dodd, Cole Baker, Sean Gallighan, and Johnny Gardner. The completion of your top 10. Up to this point, we have 5 drivers officially out of the race after the incident that we just saw. They include Keith Batson, J Baskinger, Joshua Collard, Trent Dunham, and Cody Smart. Everybody else is on the lead lap. 37 of our original 42 still on the lead lap, but I can pretty safely assume a number of them will probably not be up to speed when we go back green flag racing. And they could end up playing a factor if this race goes green flag for a good remainder of the event. Green flag back in the air. We're about a fifth of the way through this race. J Arndt tried to get a good jump there, but Fitzwater and Drayton hung with him, and Fitzwater is going to take the inside line going into turn number 1. One thing I've noticed so far this weekend is when there's restarts and the tires have cooled down, the inside line is the line that moves, but as the race progresses and the tire heat starts to build up, then the outside line is the preferred line. You can see Fitzwater apparently realized that. He went low in 1 and 2, went high in 3 and 4. That's why he's still out in front, and that is our first lead change of the evening here on lap number 8, going on to lap number 9. Alex Drayton right there in second place. Like I said, he and Dylan Young now, they're basically just going out for wins. They both basically know that as long as they stay in the top 30 in points, they are going to be in the playoffs. So any win they can get now is an extra 3 bonus points they would take into the reformatted chase standings, and Drayton going to go to the inside, try and take the race lead here away from Zachary Fitzwater. You noticed there that nobody decided to use the apron there on the front straightaway this time. Kind of been the running, what's the word I'm looking for? Well, I don't know what word I'm looking for. It's not going to help me describe what I was going to say, but it's been something that's happened all weekend where drivers have started out these races trying that inside line, that apron on the front straightaway. It's brought out an early caution, and then everybody feels like it's kind of like poison. They don't dare go down there. And I mean, obviously, a majority of our wrecks this weekend have been as a result of drivers trying to use that front straightaway apron. So, to be perfectly honest, especially with us seeing that it didn't work in the truck race and Pizza X Series race, I'm surprised a number of Hersheys Cup Series drivers elected to attempt it. And as a result, we saw that was what ended up causing a lot of damaged race cars here early on in this one. Everybody single file up here amongst the top 5. Drayton, Fitzwater, Arndt, Bryant, and Baker. And you got Chris Dodd right there in 6th. The best battling's going on back here around T Walch, and this is just inside the top 10. It's actually for the 10th position. Walch, Gilbert, Brandon Gonzales, Jordan Anderson, all in this battle, and now it's kind of settled out even more. Now here's where you see them wadded up. This is for about 11th, 12th place. Johnny Gardner in this, Joseph Srigley, and others. Here we're looking at the battle for the 11th position between Jordan Anderson and Brandon Gonzales, a former winner from this season. Gonzales, comes in this race 5th in the points, winner from our first dual race at Eldora. Now I mentioned that if this race goes green for a good portion, that we were more than likely going to see drivers that are slow, off the pace, damaged after the wrecks we just saw take place back on lap 3. They're probably going to get caught and could play a factor. Well, let's look at the tail end of the field here. There's the 70 of Kat Batson just now exiting turn 4. The leaders are on the back straightaway, so they are very quickly closing. Benny Watson off the pace, as is James Richardson. They're a little bit further ahead of the 70, though. Kyle Keith back here, Blaine Keys in the 42. There's been some rumors going on that Blaine Keys may be considering this as his final season in the Hersheys Cup Series, considering retirement. We don't know just exactly how true that is, but that's been a bit of a rumor that's been circulating around, as battle was on for second. J Arndt tried to make the move on Fitzwater, but Fitzwater's been really strong on that outside line. He'll hang on to second place for the moment. J Arndt hangs on to third, as JT Bryant thought about going for third place. Now he's going to pay the price. Chris Dodd to the inside. That's the battle for fourth. And Cole Baker would love to crack the top 5 now. He's riding in the tire tracks. And here come a couple of Michael Lerman Motorsports Camaros. The 4 of Daniel Gilbert, the 3 of Brooke Allen. Now these drivers, and this mod runs on the CTS physics, And we didn't get to see green flag pit stops in our Tax Slayer Truck Series race here a couple of nights ago. So as far as CTS physics go, we don't know what the fuel window is. Now, if we are able to base it off the Pizza Hut X Series race here last night, then it's somewhere between 18 to 22 laps. But the CTS physics use fuel consumption a lot quicker than GNS physics, so it may be a little sooner than that. So maybe like 16 to 18 laps is when these drivers will have to start thinking about making green flag pit stops. And of course they had that caution to be able to try and save a little bit of fuel under those pacing laps, but I don't think they'd have been able to save very much. So my assumption is we're going to see these drivers hit pit road maybe somewhere between laps 25 to 28, which would put them somewhere in the range of 13 to 16 laps remaining in this event. So that would put them, I think, right in the fuel window to make it to the end on just the one stop. Chris Dodd, Cole Baker did get around JT Bryant, so Bryant falls outside of the top 5. Chris Dodd looked like he wanted to get the podium spot there. Third place from J Arndt, not able to make the move quite yet. Chris Dodd, of course, last season went to victory lane in the Great American Race Daytona 500. Hasn't been to victory lane since then, so currently on a 1+ season winless streak, but that Daytona 500 win got him into the playoffs. You mentioned about J Arndt winning during the playoffs last season. So did Zachary Fitzwater. Neither one of them made it into the postseason. Alex Drayton, of course, did, being a winner at Las Vegas and only his 3rd career start last season as a rookie. And you see they've caught Kat Batson. It's going to wad them all up here, and this is where it's going to start getting interesting if drivers are going to be able to make some moves here for the lead. Fitzwater going to move to the bottom. Now let's see if that outside line kicks in for Alex Drayton. It does, but Fitzwater held firm. Fitzwater's got a good car. He's been able to make some good speed up the top side, down in the bottom. And now he's going to try and get that inside line going again, but Drayton with that outside line run is going to keep the top spot, and J Arndt's going to try and swing around for second. So it looks like even though Fitzwater can get good entry into the corner, the car apparently gets tight on him or something, and he just can't get the run off the corner that he's looking for. Got a better run off 2 than he did off 4, but Drayton still turns back the challenge and still out in front leading this race. If I recall, the last driver to have 3 wins in a single season, gotta look and see for absolute certain here, but I think it was Dylan Poteet. I might be wrong. Or was Dylan Young a 3-time winner last season? I gotta look back and find out here. I thought Dylan Young was only a 2-time winner last season, but I might be incorrect in my information. Let me look and see here. Points to load up. All right, Dylan Young and Joshua Michaels, they were 3-time winners last season. Okay, so I was incorrect, but if I'm not mistaken, I think back in season 4, Dylan Poteet was a 3-time winner. No, I'm wrong. He was a 4-time winner. So if Alex Drayton is able to pick up a win here tonight, it would be the 2nd time that a Tweenix Racing driver has had at least 3 wins in a single season. Got some players up here inside the top 10 that we didn't have before, namely the 44 of Sean Gallighan, the 21 of Joseph Srigley. Gallighan getting awfully loose there, it looked like, in the middle through turn 2. Right behind his teammate Cole Baker, and comes Daniel Gilbert now to the inside for that position. Mentioned that Joshua Collard's out of this race, the guy that was behind him in the points. The defending Pizza Hut X Series champion, Jordan Anderson, he's up here inside the top 10 right now, battling for 7th with Joseph Srigley. So currently, Jordan Anderson would take the 2nd spot in points from Joshua Collard. One driver we haven't talked about is the points leader, Dylan Poteet. Where is he at? Oh, caution's out. Caution is out, and it's right around the time these drivers would have had to start thinking about green flag pit stops. There's Dylan. He's back in 28th, so right now, Jordan Anderson, I think, would be the points leader. And Blaine Keys, it's like he might be coming to pit road. He could very well have been the reason for this yellow flag coming out. probably the one guy that might not have wanted to see that yellow flag would be A Drayton. He had a pretty good advantage between himself and second place Zachary Fitzwater, was keeping that gap pretty status quo, but this is a big break for everybody that was worrying about green flag pit stops. They're now going to be able to pit here under caution, and they should be good to go on fuel the rest of the way. So it's going to be down to who has the best race car now as to who's going to win this race. And this is what we call the money stop. This is the pit stop that could make or break your race. So we are going to take a moment to watch this battle off pit road before we take a look at the replay of what brought out this yellow flag. Drayton, Fitzwater, Chris Dodd. That is your top three coming down pit road. Are we going to see 2 tire stops, 4 tire stops, no tires? Is anybody going to risk it to try and gain track position? Let's see. It's right sides for all 3 of our current podium drivers. Let's see if they go around to the left side. 2 tires for Chris Dodd. He's down and away. Drayton and Fitzwater do the same, and they will be the same coming off pit road as they were coming onto pit road. It'll be Drayton, Fitzwater, and Chris Dodd when we go back green flag racing. Now let's see what brought out the caution for the second time here tonight at Kansas. It involves the lap machine of Kat Batson. Most of the leaders had already gotten by her. These were a number of stragglers that were back there, and oh boy, it looks like Benjamin Miles was going to go to the outside of Kat Batson, and Batson didn't realize that's the line that Miles wanted to go, went up the track in front of him and squeezed him into the wall. Pretty good damage there on the 25 of Benjamin Miles, a guy that came into this race 6th in the point standings, a former winner this year, and Kat Batson, her wounded race car with even more damage, and her spinning around was what brought the yellow flag out. So a 2-car incident sets us up for a restart with, I believe, less than 15 laps to go. Let's go back to it now. And we have another driver out of the race. Kat Batson has taken her car back behind the wall. So 6 drivers officially out of this event. That caution was not only a big break for all these leaders being able to pit under caution, it was also a big break for a number of drivers like Benny Watts and James Richardson, who are at the tail end of the lead lap. That caution came out before these leaders caught them and lapped them, so they're still on the lead lap here at this point. It'll be Alex Drayton who will lead us back to green. We will be going back green with, I believe, 12 laps to go. Zachary Fitzwater lines up second, Chris Dodd third. 4th place is J Bryant, 5th place J Arndt. Aside from the leader, none of the top 5 have been to victory lane this season. Then it's Anderson, Allan, Srigley, Baker, and Walsh, the top 10. Green flag back in the air. And there you see Fitzwater to the inside line. Remember, the tires, the cold tires, are good on the inside line early on. Fitzwater knows that. He knows this is probably his best opportunity to try and get the race lead away from Drayton. Almost has him cleared off turn 2. Let's see if he can clear him going into 3. Brooke Allen 3 wide back there as Fitzwater's going to get around. He'll take the top position coming out of turn number 4. New race leader is the 59. But now is the question, can he hold on to that race lead for these last 11 laps? Drayton back in second. 3rd place is J Bryant. And look at this hornet's nest from 4th place on back. Tim Walsh, Srigley, Gilbert. Manuel Hartnett's now up in this mix there in that DuPont 83. Brooke Allen and Chris Dodd, J Arndt, they've all been kicked up to the high side. They're fading quickly. Back up towards the front, Fitzwater trying to hang on to the position. Drayton right there. Now Drayton was able to get the race lead away from the then race leader, our pole sitter J Arndt, but that was because he did the exact same move on a restart that Fitzwater did on him just a couple laps ago. Now we're going to see if Drayton can pass for the lead under green flag conditions. It was very difficult for Fitzwater to get by Drayton using the inside line. We'll see if Drayton's got a good enough car to make the move as he peeks out here into turn 1. Gets right up on that left rear quarter panel, but then Fitzwater cuts him off through the center of the corner and gets a nice run off of 2. Holds on to the top spot for the moment. Tim Walsh has now jumped up to 4th. Daniel Gilbert up to 5th. Emmanuel Hartnett in 6th. So our top 5 taking on a little bit of a different look. But up front, it's still Fitzwater and Drayton. Now remember, Drayton has 2 wins this season as he looks to the inside. Can he make it stick is the question here out of 2. Oh, Fitzwater got a little bit of better exit. Is he going to be able to stay clear of the 77 before they get to 3? Yes, he will. But like I was saying, Drayton's a 2-time winner. Fitzwater's looking for his first win of the season. Matter of fact, Fitzwater trying to make the playoffs for the first time since I believe season 3. Oh my goodness, Drayton! Almost literally shoved Fitzwater into turn 1. But Fitzwater gonna hang on still and keep the position. And I am correct, it was season 3 was the last season Zachary Fitzwater was in the playoffs. He finished 16th out of 16 chase drivers. Mentioned that last year he was a winner, but it came during when the playoffs were going on, so it didn't count towards a playoff position. It was back at Michigan, round 7. Boy, Drayton seems to be really good on the entrance of turn 1, but he just can't seem to be able to shake the 59 loose of the race lead. He's going to try it here in turn 3. Again, like I mentioned, with Drayton being a 2-time winner, he's got himself in position to maybe pick up his 3rd win of the season. All he's worried about now are those bonus points for getting wins. So if he's able to get by Fitzwater or wreck Tryon, I think that'd be a risk that Drayton be willing to take. But now he's fallen back into the clutches of J Bryant for 2nd place. So we'll have to see now if Fitzwater might have a little bit of an alleviation of having to defend that top position. See what the gap is here between himself and Drayton as they cross the line, and it's just about 2/10. And Drayton going down to the bottom of the track. He's putting about a half groove lower, actually more than a half groove, about a whole groove lower there through turns 1 and 2. Right down that yellow line, and it looked like Fitzwater again got the better exit. Battle may be on for 3rd. Daniel Gilbert peeks out of line. J Bryant, no dice there. Top 5, top 6, they're all single file for the moment. All trying to get momentum. That seems to be the big story here as this thing's gone green for a good portion of the remainder of this race. If he got good forward momentum, he can make the move. There you see Daniel Gilbert had that good momentum. He's going to go to the inside. Looks like he will take 3rd place away from J Bryant. And now Drayton has closed the gap up again between himself and Zachary Fitzwater. It comes down between who wants it more. Chevy Camaro, Chevy SS. They're going to be the ones that manufacturers, it looks like, to battle for this win. We will have 2 laps to go this time by. Here comes Drayton, looking again to the inside in 1 and 2. Fitzwater back to the throttle quicker on the outside line. Still side by side. Drayton to the left rear quarter panel, and now Fitzwater clears him once again. Get Daniel Gilbert trying to use the outside line there. He tried to get 2nd from Drayton. Can't do it, but I think he's going to hang on to 3rd place out of turn 4. Gets around J Bryant. White flag was just displayed. Drayton's got 1 more shot. He can't get it in 1 and 2. He's going to have to try and make the move here in 3 and 4 if he can get enough momentum down the back straightaway. Looks like he's doing it. Is he going to look to the bottom? Oh, he tried to make the move up top side, but Fitzwater saw it coming and blocked his momentum. Zachary Fitzwater is going to get his first win of the season. He'll take the checkered flag tonight in the Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas. And quite possibly for the first time in 3 seasons, Zachary Fitzwater will be back in the Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championship. He came into tonight's race 18th in the point stands. He had a great start to the season, hit a bit of a skid around races 7 and 8, and then last week was able to bounce back up 6 spots to 18th in points, and now this win is certainly going to shoot him up possibly inside of the top 10 in points heading into next week. What a victory there for Zachary Fitzwater, who has gone to victory lane in the last 2 seasons, but his wins have come during the playoffs. Now he finally gets a non-playoff race win, and like I said, this may be an opportunity for him to appear in his second ever career Hersheys Cup Series chase for the championship. It'll be Camaro's 4th win of the season, with their 4th different driver. Of course, McIntosh, Collard, and Miles being the other 3. And let's take a look and see what the official finisher results now were. Alex Drayton so close to picking up his 3rd win of the season, but he'll have to settle for runner-up. Daniel Gilbert brings it home with a solid run of 3rd. J Bryant there in 4th, and Emmanuel Hartnett in 5th. You look at Gilbert, Bryant, and Hartnett, those are 3 names we really haven't seen up near the front of the field in quite a number of weeks. Tim Walsh is going to bring it home there in the 6th position, so he could very well actually be a contender for the points lead. I'll look at that in just a moment. Cole Baker is going to finish the day out in 7th place. Joseph Srigley 8th. How about Anthony McCrory? I don't think we talked about him at all today, and he popped up into the top 10 in the closing stages there with a 9th place run, and Brandon Gonzales will complete the top 10. R Reynolds gets Rookie of the Race, and I think that might be his first time this season that he's gotten Rookie of the Race. J Ciculli was in 12th. J Arndt, who started on the pole, will have to settle for 13th. Chris Dodd in 14th, and Sean Gallighan completes the top 15. Rest of your top 20 were D Voyles, Jordan Anderson, Brooke Allan, Dallas McIntosh, and Leon Alvarez. There you see Dylan Poteet, who came in the points leader 21st. He had a 12-point advantage from him to Tim Walsh. Walsh finished 6th. Poteet finished 21st, so Walsh is ahead of Poteet in points. We know Collard finished out of the race, and Jordan Anderson finished back in 17th. He was only 1 point ahead of Tim Walsh. I think that Tim Walsh is going to be the new points leader heading into next week's race. So congrats to the 15 team on a great run, and they're going to reap very important rewards as you look on down through the remainder of the finishing results. And looks like we may have had some drivers that didn't make it on fuel or something. Jessica Shelton, James Richardson, and Benny Watson all finishing off the lead lap in 34th, 35th, and 36th. And we didn't have any wreck take place there in the closing stages of this race. So kind of interesting with that whole scenario. And then we had 6 drivers finish out of the race after 2 cautions here tonight. Kat Batson, Keith Batson, J Baskinger, Joshua Collard, Trent Dunham, and Cody Smart. So, after our 10th race of the season, we now have, I believe, a total of 10 different race winners. Which means right now, 10 of the 16 playoff positions are currently held by race winners this season. So we haven't even gotten to the halfway point of the regular season, and already our postseason grid is starting to fill up with drivers. Zachary Fitzwater, the most recent of those. But thank you all for tuning into tonight's race from Kansas. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like. Subscribe to become part of the crew today. We've shown you your full finisher results. These are your rookie points and your overall points heading into next week. Now, I stated that next week's race was supposed to be from FTF Super Speedway. And if you didn't tune into the Pizza Deck Series race, I basically stated that since we had just come off the heels of Bump Draft and Super Speedway, I don't want to go to another SS track so soon. There are a couple of tracks that I have in mind that we might try and go to, a couple of road courses in particular, so I'm going to be doing some testing to see if one of those particular tracks will be the next track on the schedule. If they end up being, you'll find out the same time that I do. So until our next race, wherever it may be, you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, Offline Racing, at its best. Good night from Kansas.